Question: how long do electric vehicles last for? I've had my Ford Mustang Mach-E for over 3 years now, and I have put over 75,000 miles on it. And I am here to tell you all that I've experienced, all the good and even the bad. So stick around with me as I share all my experiences and my thoughts about what it's like to own an EV. I'm Brent, and this is EV and Tech Life. All right, let's talk about the bad stuff first, and then we'll hit up the good stuff because it outweighs all the bad or negative stuff. First big thing I have to talk about is the infrastructure of the charging system we have in place. It's not there yet, and it's slowly getting there, especially since now Tesla has opened up their massive charging stations to some of the other vehicles out on the road. I know Ford's doing that. I think Rivian's doing that right now. And I think GM is on board with that, or it's in the pipeline. But with Tesla opening up their charging stations, that helps out a lot. But depending on where you live, there could be more of these charging stations around in your area, or there could be not. So it's always best to make sure you do some research before buying an EV. And that way you're prepared if you're going to be able to see if there's a lot of charging stations in your area, or if you do a lot of driving, maybe on your routes, that if you have a normal route, if you have charging stations along the way, that would be helpful to know about. And another thing, there's also the costs of charging at these Electrify Americas or a Tesla charging station. Any of these charging stations, they are not free. And when I started charging about 3 years ago, I didn't have at-home charging. And I want to say it was about 35 cents a kilowatt hour to charge. But I have just recently charged, and I was at 55 cents a kilowatt hour. I think that was at a peak time. If you do the math and you're going to be doing daily charging or doing a lot of driving, and you're dependent on these charging stations to go ahead and fill up your vehicle, you're going to be spending a little bit of money. But when I first started charging at 33 cents, that doesn't sound like a lot, but it kind of is. I have at-home charging, and where I live, I charge at night, and I'm paying anywhere from 3 to 5 cents a kilowatt hour, and it's just depending on the times, the weather, the demand power, everything that's going into play. That's about average. I'm paying about 5 to 8 cents a kilowatt hour. So at these other charging stations, when you are paying 35 cents, 55 cents a kilowatt hour, that can add up really quickly. So my recommendation on this would be at-home charging if possible. That is a game changer. Also, with doing the charging, relying on the charging infrastructure, I've noticed that there's a lot more lines for waiting to get a charge than it was 3 years ago. So yes, people are buying more EVs now, but they don't tell you, now you're going to be waiting in lines just to charge. You're going to have to wait 45 minutes to get a charge. Some of the charging stations only allow you to charge up to 80% instead of 100%, depending on where you live and depending on the time that you're charging at. So these are things that nobody's talking about. So when somebody gets an EV, all of a sudden they're having these experiences that are bad experiences. If you have a little bit of knowledge about this, I think that'll make you a little bit more prepared on what you can do to make EV life, or enjoying an EV, or having an EV, more enjoyable. Second bad thing I'm going to talk about: extreme weather conditions. I'm talking about really, really cold weather, a lot of snow on the ground. These things affect the battery. It affects the battery in two ways. With a lot of snow on the ground, traction, you don't have as much smooth traction, so that you're using more energy. And the cold weather just automatically in a battery doesn't do very well. I do a lot of driving, and I have not been stranded. If I know I'm going to be driving somewhere outside of my normal driving, which commute is about 50, 60 miles a day, and if I'm going to be driving maybe 200 miles a day, or 200 miles that in a specific day, I know where I'm going to have to charge on my route so that way I can get home. So if you know some of these things, and you during the winter months, you have a 200-mile route, and during the winter, you're going to have to make a charge on your way home. During the summer, spring, fall months, I can do that route, and I don't have to do a charge. I just recently went on I think it was about 199 miles, and I did that on one charge because the weather was actually really nice. But during the winter season, and I'm talking 23 degrees, almost 0 degrees, getting into the negative numbers, -2, -5. Doing that same route, I automatically know I'm going to have to charge somewhere. So if you have that kind of knowledge, I think owning an EV is going to be pretty enjoyable for you, because everything else, all the good stuff about it, it's so much fun. It's hassle-free. It's maintenance-free. I love my EV, and it's a Mach-E. It's a lot of fun to drive. So normal weather conditions, now I have a 70 kilowatt battery. I get about 230 miles per estimated range for a full charge up to 100%. I don't do that. I usually charge my car to 85%. So I'm usually getting, I see on my estimated range is about 197. So, and the 230 that I'm talking about on 100% is from 0 to 100%. So I never get 230 miles. Because I'm not gonna, someday I do charge to 100% when I know I'm gonna be doing a lot of driving. But when I'm not pulling into my garage at 0%, I don't take that chance, because out where I live, I don't have a charging station. Actually, they put one down the street, but it's still like 10 miles away. So I need to make sure that I know where I'm at, because if I run out of energy, the car is gonna die, and you don't want to do that to your battery either. It's not very healthy for the battery. But now during the really cold weather months, and I'm talking about 0 degrees, I would say I would get about 126 miles to 90 miles. 90 miles is what I'll ride or I'll drive, and I know I'm really good. 126 miles is probably going from 100% down to 0 and taking that chance that I might run out of energy, and I might run out of my battery, and the car's just not going to work for me, and I don't want to be stranded in 0 degree weather. I don't want to be off to the side of the road. And again, it's not really healthy for the battery. Now, if I know I'm not going to have the time to do a charging during the cold weather months, I still have my wife's vehicle. It's a gasoline vehicle, so I'll sometimes just use that, take that. So with owning an EV, I would not just say I'll go all in on EV, although I use my EV all the time. Having a gasoline car every once in a while for longer trips, anything else you want to just get there quickly, the gasoline vehicles are gonna get you there faster, because the EVs you're gonna have to stop. But you need lunch, you need dinner, there's always some kind of breaks you need to take. So it can be done. I know a lot of other people that do that. I haven't taken mine on a really long road trip yet, but I do take them on trips to where sometimes I do have to get a quick charge to get home. These are probably the two biggest things in my mind are reasons why people give an EV a bad name. All right, let's talk about the good stuff right here. First thing, the way this car handles is so much fun. The instant acceleration is unbelievable. The way the vehicle handles during the winter months is awesome too, as far as the handling, traction in the snow, icing conditions. All vehicles are bad in that. But I really like to have a lot of fun with my vehicle in the wintertime, the way it handles. And I also like to have a lot of fun with it during the summer months too as well. The Ford Mustang Mach-E has 3 driving modes. First off is gonna be whisper mode. Smooth acceleration, and it's for when the roads are a little bit more slippery. That's usually when I turn that on. Rainy days, during the winter, when it's snowing outside, a little icy. If it's slippery, I usually put that mode on. Then you have engage, which is everyday driving. I usually don't drive that one. I am either in whisper or I'm in unbridled. And unbridled is the sport mode on that. Instant acceleration, faster acceleration. The way the steering wheel handles, it's a little bit tighter. So there's 3 modes, 3 fun modes to drive. You can have one of them, drive it all year, drive whatever mode you like. But again, I usually don't do engage. I am always either in unbridled, which is the fast one, or I'm in whisper mode, which is for slippery conditions. All right, second thing, let's talk about maintenance. There really isn't any. No more oil changes, no more transmission fluids, flushes. So you really barely have any maintenance. Yes, I've had to put a set of tires on there at about 40,000 miles on it. I have about 75,000, well, I have over 75,000 now, but my last tire rotation, which I get my tires rotated now every 5,000 miles, and I was at, I think, 6 on all the tires. So I still have a lot of tire tread on my vehicle, so I had to put tires on. All right, everybody's got to put tires on, and I've had to put them on sooner than later, but I do a lot of driving. I also had to replace the 12-volt battery. It was questionable when I take it in, so Ford recommends taking your vehicle in every 10,000 miles just to have an inspection done on it to make sure the car's riding, performing good. The meter showed it was a little bit off. I could have probably taken the chance of maybe having the 12-volt battery go a little bit longer, but going into the winter season, I did not want to mess around with that. So I had the 12-volt battery replaced. I think it cost me about $239 or something like that. So I said, go ahead and replace it. Don't want to get stranded anywhere. So those are the 2 biggest things that I've had to do is tires and a 12-volt battery. I've had to change the air cabin filter, and I do that myself. I buy the filter and I put that in myself. Filter's a couple bucks, I don't know, 10, 20 bucks. But if they put it in, you got to pay for the labor. So that was really easy to do on that. So it's not really too much maintenance there. My expenses have been pretty minimum compared to a gasoline vehicle. Third thing to talk about, one of the biggest things as well. I saw a huge monthly savings. When I first got my EV, gasoline prices were over $4 a gallon, sometimes hitting $5 a gallon. And with all the driving that I was doing, or still am doing, I was paying anywhere from $400 to $500 a month in gasoline. People may say that's not correct, but trust me, I know my pocketbook knew. I was going to the gas station and I was watching that gas station fill up, and it was $80, $90 a week. Sometimes I would have to go there twice in 1 week. So I know what I was paying when I ended up buying this vehicle. But with my EV and my electric bill, it only went up anywhere from $50 to $100. And that was dependent on the time of season. Because in the wintertime, I'm actually charging it more, putting more kilowatts in to the vehicle because the battery is draining or the battery isn't staying as charged, a state of charged, because of how the weather is affecting the battery. But would you rather pay $50 or $100? That is the question. Instead of paying $400, $500, $300, this was actually a win for me with that savings. This was because I was using a charger at home. That's where I have the savings on this. If you do not have charging at home, if you are not charging at night, and I also have live pricing too. So live pricing, if the demand is high, I pay more for my kilowatts than just a flat fee. But I also do a lot of my charging at night, so there's not a lot of kilowatts being used at night, so I get a lower rate. And it's worked out for me with live pricing in my area. So you also have to keep that in mind as well. Everybody has different kind of electric bills and electric supply costs in a certain area. So do some research on that and see if that's beneficial. But for me, this was one of my biggest reasons. I didn't want to pay $400, $300 a month in gasoline anymore. I'd rather pay $50 or $100 in my electric bill than pay that $300, $400 gasoline bill every month. And again, where I live, my kilowatts that I'm charging at is about 1 to 3 cents a kilowatt hour. So again, do some research, see if this is going to be beneficial for you with buying an EV. And I would say if you're going to be relying on all the charging stations that are out for public use, the fast charging stations, I don't think you're going to save on a gasoline bill unless you don't do a lot of driving. But even then, you're still driving a certain amount of miles. And if you're doing that, 55 cents a kilowatt hour is going to be kind of pricey. 49 cents a kilowatt hour, that's going to be kind of pricey every fill up. And you're not going to be able, sometimes you're not going to be able to charge to 100%. So just do some research. Or if you have any questions about this, drop the questions down below. I can answer anything I know or try to get you an answer. I want to educate you guys, make sure you're knowledgeable about this stuff, because an EV is, again, so much fun to drive, maintenance free. And there's so much, in my eyes, savings as long as you have the right tools in place on this. So I want to thank you guys for sticking around. Again, if you have any questions, drop it below. Don't forget to like and subscribe to my page. It really helps me out, or lets me know that you guys like my content I'm creating. I got another video right here that I think you're gonna like, so check that out as well. And whatever you drive out there, be safe. And we will see you in the next video.